right now, heartland America battling against the elites, the Biden administration, people on the left and the right. And it's hard to see hope, but I have some to offer you today. Last night, there was a special election in the very blue state of Connecticut.
Yeah, that's a deep
blue state. I mean, it's a state that a Republican would never win unless it was some miracle. Yeah. I don't know how a Republican would ever win it. But in a special election last night for a state Senate seat, a Republican flipped the seat out of the Democrats' hands. And mind you, this is a district that Joe Biden won by 25% just last November. Deep blue district, and a Republican won, and the Democrats in Connecticut actually lost their supermajority in the state legislature because of it. It's really good news. There's clearly a lot of excitement about Republicans right now, and coinciding with this, there was this brutal poll release last night where the majority of Americans now disapprove of Joe Biden's, I guess of just Joe Biden right now. That is the first time that has happened since Biden took over. It comes as inflation is out of control, the disaster in Afghanistan, the border crisis. So it seems like at least some people in America are waking up to the disaster that is the left and the elite in America. I'm hoping this is a sign of what's to come. That is my hope, that this is a sign of what's to come. Do you guys think that this election is a sign that Republicans are going to or could take back the House in 2022?
I would say I would bet my money on it that yes, I think that the Republicans are going to be a lot more successful in 2022. I think over time people have seen and kind of realized that when you're voting for someone, you're not voting for tweets. You're not voting for how someone makes you feel. At the end of the day, you're voting on foreign policy. So whether or not you liked Trump, whether or not you liked his administration, we weren't having these like gigantic humanitarian crises like any more than Joe Biden is. The only one you can point me to that I can really think of that was a huge one was the border crisis. And that's just grown exponentially since Biden has taken over. And Kamala Harris didn't really even visit the border. She only went to El Paso. And so I think people are starting to wake up. They're starting to realize that, you know, these policies are having serious implications. They're seeing these huge bills that we're passing for trillions of dollars that we just can't afford. And I think people are starting to wake up and go, wait a second, this isn't possible. This isn't feasible.
Yeah. I think one of the things this probably points to is an incredible enthusiasm gap. Between the Republicans and the Democrats. It is when the White House is controlled by Democrats, when the House and the Senate are controlled by Democrats, and when we see these kinds of results, even pretty hardcore Democrats have trouble ginning up the enthusiasm to go to the polling place and vote. And this is particularly true in special elections and off-year elections. The people who go there are the people who are, hardcore voters. So which hardcore voters are energized in Connecticut? It sure looks like that's Republicans, and that spells potentially disaster for the Democrats in the House and Senate in 2022.
If I was a Democrat right now, like if I was Nancy Pelosi,
terrified,
or if I was head of the Democrat campaign wing for Congress, I would be terrified. Yep. They have nothing to campaign on. Yeah. Absolutely nothing.
Right. Failure after failure, and they don't have Trump anymore to point at as Orange Man bad.
They have no one to blame.
It's just them
themselves.
Now. Yep.
Yeah, it is a optics disaster for them. It is a tangible disaster. I mean, well, if you think about the average American, and you are paying more for gas in your car, your rent's going up.
Oh yeah.
You had to pay $100,000 more for a house, or you couldn't buy a house this year. Who do you blame? You blame the people that are in power. You blame the elites, and that is Joe Biden. And so I don't see any way that Democrats recover well from this. I mean, it is, and you always tie the party in Congress, so the Democrats, you would tie them to Joe Biden. They're going to be tied to Joe Biden. That's how midterm elections work every year.
There's always the sort of mid-year curse, right?
Yes.
Where the party in power loses seats.
Yes.
I think that's just going to be aggravated. However, with one caveat, which is I also there's a lot of time between now and the election.
There
right?
is, yeah.
And this time in 2019, I never saw a pandemic coming, and the pandemic changed the entire course of the 2020 election.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
heaven only knows what's coming in 2022. But with what we can see today, I'd be terrified if I were trying to defend a Democratic seat, or much less, try to take a Republican seat in the House or Senate.
I might sound a bit like a conspiracy theorist when I say this, but I think part of the reason the Democrats are still so obsessed with COVID and issuing new lockdowns and mandates is because they desperately want it to continue into next year, so that we can have all mail-in voting again and all of the shadiness that led to questions about the 2020 election.
I agree with that.
So we will see what happens. I'm really excited. There is hope. I know that's something that's hard to have right now, but there is hope. There are shreds of hope out there, but we cannot get complacent. We have to stay energized going into 2022. Our base has to stay energized. We cannot think that our vote won't matter. Your vote does matter, and you have got to stay energized and fight like you never have before, because the elites want to destroy us.